Hello and welcome to Vice Rhino Live. Thanks for checking out this clip. Don't forget to like and subscribe because that'll make the baby Jesus cry, and I know how much you guys love making the baby Jesus cry. Okay, shall we do some tweets?
Yeah, oh god, I'm ready. Let's do it.
That was the third news item. Okay, let's do some tweets. So we'll start with Chris Figaro. I forget what he was responding to, but it's something about abortion. So he says,
there we go.
Wrong.
It's in the middle. You're freaking me out.
What?
That one was in the middle of the pile that you sent me. Okay, I
Was
got
it?
it. Yeah.
Oh.
I got it.
Okay, well, whatever. It should be in alphabetical order from here on. It says, wrong, aborted children enter purgatory first. They will most likely enter heaven, but that is no excuse for murder, being abortion, being murder in this case. And assuming you believe in heaven and hell, you do realize that pro-abortionists will never see heaven, right? So who exactly is doing Satan's work exactly?
I have thoughts.
I mean,
go first?
First, like aborted children enter purgatory first. Didn't the Catholic Church get rid of purgatory?
Well, is he Catholic? Is this
purgatory
Catholic?
is a Catholic thing, isn't it?
I have no idea. I think so because I was raised Anglican, and it wasn't a concept that I was familiar with. But I don't know enough about like other sort of Orthodox denominations, and like whatever the non-denominational Christian movement is in the States right now. Me and Paul were talking about this the other day. Like they didn't even like about the difference in like even communions that they take blew my mind that you wouldn't go to the altar to take communion and like bow and stuff.
Okay, no. So purgatory is still a Catholic thing. It was limbo that they eliminated. I don't fucking know what the difference is. I'm not reading this whole article right now. It's just stupid.
Okay.
I always thought
it's
purgatory.
Probably Catholic then.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like, who is doing Satan's work by aborting children? Well, okay, they enter purgatory, and then from purgatory, they most likely enter heaven from purgatory, which means that abortions would be the best way to make sure that your baby goes to heaven, because like the Bible itself says that most people who exist, like most actual people, will go to hell. Like that's the whole like straight and narrow is the path. And like wide is the path that leads to hell, and narrow is the path that leads to heaven. That's paraphrasing, obviously, but yeah. So like, if you want,
they have no chance to sin.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make any sense to me, and also like the rest of it doesn't make sense to me. And assuming you believe in heaven and hell, you do realize that pro-abortionists will never see heaven, right? Okay, so they can't repent.
Yeah, no. Like, Christianity, you can repent for anything.
I can't repent. Like,
well, I mean, if you're a Catholic,
it's like contradictory all over the place.
Now, this is something that I don't understand about Catholic doctrine. You're supposed to confess to a priest,
right?
Like, if you fail to this is actually something that bothered me when I was a Christian, because like we didn't confess to priests, but we were still told you need to confess your sins to God. So I was always worried when I was a Christian, like, what if I sinned sometime and I didn't know that was a sin, and so I don't confess that sin, even though I would have if I'd have known it.
Right?
Like, am I still saved from that sin? And so, like, the same goes for the Catholic Church. You're supposed to confess to a priest. If you forget to confess one of your sins to a Catholic priest, do you go to hell? And
I used to blanket them. But that cover it all. Just say for any sins that I have committed, God, I am sorry.
that was my way out of that as well.
Blanket it out, yeah.
Little loophole.
Cover it all.
But you can't do that with the Catholic priest. You got to tell them exactly what you did wrong, and then they tell you what your penance is. Yeah.
So you have to get absolved by
like you tell them what the sin was. You tell them what the sin was, and they tell you how many Hail Marys you need to do to fix it.
That confuses the fuck out of me though, because
so like
the relationship is between you and God. What if you're somewhere where you don't have access to a priest? Like what if you're out on a mission?
Yeah.
And there's no priest there, and you're in the mission field, and you do a sin, and something could happen to you. Like do you just go to hell even though you're out on a mission doing God's work because there's no priest there to directly confess to?
Yeah, Catholicism makes no sense.
Stupid.
Well, I mean, most denominations don't make any sense, but Catholicism is one of the worst offenders because they try so hard to be all intellectual about everything.
Yeah, it's pomp and circumstance, like more so than substance. But yeah, this doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah. And how does he know aborted children go to purgatory? Like, where doctrinally does it even state that anywhere?
Oh, the
Anywhere.
Pope probably said something while speaking ex cathedra or something, and
That's right. That's the other thing about the Catholics is that the Pope can basically just say God stuff, and it's just as good as God saying stuff, and then it just basically becomes doctrine.
But then other times the Pope can be fallible human being. He made a mistake here.
That's super consistent. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That checks out.
Well, I mean that's
All
the
of
whole
that makes sense to me.
that's the whole point of speaking ex cathedra. When you're speaking ex cathedra, then you're speaking with the authority of God. But when you're not speaking ex cathedra, then you're just speaking as a man, and you're subject to making mistakes and crap.
But what if you make a mistake when you think you're speaking ex cathedra because you're a fallible human, but you actually weren't speaking ex cathedra? How do you know the difference?
Then the Catholics just sweep it under the rug and pretend it didn't happen.
Okay, fair enough. All right.
All right, next
Remaining
up,
consistent.
Elaine Mears. I like this one. I don't know who this person is. This is like I follow an account on Twitter called Take That Darwin, and they just retweet ridiculous.
That's a funny account.
It is. It's fun to follow. But a billion monkeys typing on computers for a billion years couldn't even come up with a paragraph of Shakespeare's play. So is the chances far less likely is evolution, more complex than any of Shakespeare's work.
Oh, bless her heart. Okay, she doesn't get that. She doesn't get that.
Yeah, first off, the
aw.
analogy is like if you give monkeys keyboards for long enough, they will come up with Shakespeare's plays.
Yeah, well, it has to do with how vast infinity is, because you could have if you have infinite combinations, part of those infinite combinations of language would have to be Shakespeare, because the combinations are infinite. And that's within the range of infinity so that is the point. But then she gave it a shorter range. I mean, maybe the monkeys wouldn't type Shakespeare in a billion years. That's not the point of the analogy. Bless her.
Yeah, well, no, but see, my thing is I've always kind of fixed that.
And a monkey did type Shakespeare. Shakespeare was a monkey, so there's that too.
Sure.
Didn't have a typewriter.
I've always kind of fixed this analogy by saying, like, the way evolution works is like when it stumbles upon something that works, it keeps it, and then it improves upon that. So instead of picturing monkeys typing randomly and they have to get it in one go, you get you take the monkeys typing randomly, and when one of them randomly types a word that is contained in a Shakespeare play, that word gets saved, and then like any letters that are next to it will also get saved next to it. And they keep like randomly improving on this over several iterations, and eventually you do get to Shakespeare's works. Now, this is not a perfect analogy because it has an intended goal. So it'd be more like just give it the rules of the English language, and as long as the syntax and grammar follow, that gets saved. And then eventually you'll have a sentence that is coherent.
I mean, that kind of makes sense to me.
Now,
But it's so silly, though.
She's
essentially just saying, because I don't think that this thing is possible, that means that something completely unrelated is also not possible, because I perceive them both as being complex. That's the entirety of that argument, I think. And complex things to me are improbable, so they can't happen.
I'm trying to find. I forget. There was a comic that I saw where somebody was like, "Oh well, if we translate pi into base 27, then each digit represents a letter of the alphabet, and then when you get to this section of pi, that's where it contains. Like when you go this far down in pi, that's where it contains this phrase or these words or something." I'm trying to find it so I can show it, but
Oh, interesting.
I feel like it was XKCD, but I also feel like it was recent, and the recent ones on XKCD were not that. Someone in the chat knows. Just send a link to it, and I'll show it on the stream.
I don't know what XKCD is.
You don't know
Is that
XKCD?
those cartoons that you send me on Twitter all the time?
Maybe, I don't know. They're like science-y cartoons. Randall Munroe was he was a roboticist for NASA for a while, and then he started XKCD when his contract ran out and wasn't. What do you mean that doesn't sound like XKCD? That's exactly up his alley.
Friday.
No, that was Naram Duputs said that. Yeah, so it. Yeah, he does sciencey comics. I'm reading a book of his to the kids right now. It's called What If. The tagline being serious scientific answers to absurd hypothetical questions.
Oh,
so there would be people that
cool.
asking ridiculous things like, how much energy does Yoda have through the Force? And so then he'll be like, oh, well, we if we look at the scene from Empire Strikes Back where he raises the X-Wing out of the swamp, we can estimate the weight of an X-Wing by comparing it to a fighter jet of roughly the same size, and this is about how long the struts are, and this is how quickly the strut moved out, and because Star Wars nerds are so fantastically detailed, we know that Dagobah has 0.9 G of gravity.
Oh my God.
So you calculate that out, and so this is how much energy Yoda puts out to raise the X-Wing, so he could power a smart car going at this speed. What, he just calculates the whole thing out.
That's a lot of free time.
It's such a fun book. It's such a fun book. Like, that was the chapter we read last night.
That's interesting. That's a good way to get them interested in science stuff. But that would be a lot of free time to even come up with the idea that you should figure that out.
Well, Paul might object to this, but he actually started that chapter out with, "We're ignoring the prequels, of course."
Uh-oh.
Because Yoda does all sorts of stuff in the prequels that might be considered more powerful than lifting an X-Wing.
Oh, so that was just too complex to calculate.
Yeah,
didn't want to crunch the numbers on that.
Well, like how much force energy is he exerting to bounce around like he normally walks with a cane. Obviously, he's using the Force to be able to bounce and spin like that. So, like, how much force energy does that take? How do you calculate that? I don't know.
I don't know either.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about physics to know how to calculate it, even if it was possible.
But yeah, it's a fun book. I'm not seeing anyone put a link in, but whatever. We'll just move on to the next thing.
Okay.
Oh, it's Eric Kahn. Christian wives, your bodies do not belong to you. You may not do with them whatever you want. They belong first to the Lord, then to your husband.
We don't need feminism anymore.
Yeah, no. Everybody treats women as equals, right?
I've never encountered a problem. It's not effective. Sorry about my cold. Oh my God. Well, he does go on to say, I don't know if
no, I got the second one.
He does go on to say, men, your bodies aren't yours either. So I guess he's an equal opportunity.
It's equal. Yeah. This is essentially a coded way of saying marital rape does not exist. Because when you're married, the I do counts as blanket consent for everything for all time.
That's just patently not the fucking case. Consent is consent regardless of the status of your existing relationship with the person. That should go without saying. Like,
in a marriage relationship, it might be easier to
things that should just fucking go without saying.
Well, see, the way I say,
why isn't that obvious?
In a good marriage, it's easier to have sexual relations without there being explicit consent. But like, if somebody says no, that still means no.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. Or if somebody gives you like physical signs that they're disinterested.
Like that's why safe words are a thing. Exactly. They exist between married couples. Or they should exist between married couples. In a good
one would think, or any couple in general, any relationship that has a sexual aspect.
And that includes, like, even if you're not into like kinky BDSM type stuff or whatever, like, you should still have something that you can say is like, no, this needs to stop right now. Like, that just puts the brakes on everything.
Yeah, and if you want to have a fruitful sexual relationship with somebody, that should be something that you're both open to, so that you can make sure that you're both doing things that the other one enjoys, so that the experience is something that you share and enjoy together, as opposed to, sit through. That's not what you would want, I would anticipate. But yeah, I don't. Yeah, what do the Bible passages say?
I didn't look them up. I assume they're the there's the Bible passages that are the hierarchy that, like, women submit to your husbands as you would submit to the Lord, blah, 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 blah. I don't know. I didn't look them up. I just kind of assumed that those were those ones. Anyway, Dr. John McClatchy. coming up next.
Oh, what's John got to say? I know John. All right, what's John got to say?
Says, this one beef I have with many atheists I encounter on YouTube and social media. They pick on low-hanging fruit like Gary Habermas' minimal facts rather than the more robust arguments for Jesus' resurrection. Likewise, they pick on Craig's Kalam argument, which I personally think is overstated by Craig, rather than on more robust versions of the Kalam, like Callum Miller's inductive formulation of the argument. So
I love that he thinks that Habermas is low-hanging fruit. Did some Christians come for him? Some Christians must have come for him too.
Like, what is the... Okay, so putting aside the cosmological argument, because that's an argument just for God in general, not specifically the Christian God, but like evidence for the resurrection of Jesus. Gary Habermas is low-hanging fruit, apparently. What is the high-hanging fruit in that scenario?
Who has accumulated and amassed more talking hours and research hours specifically on the resurrection than Gary Habermas?
Well, if you ask Gary, nobody. He's got so many pages, all the pages.
What is the more robust argument for the resurrection than Gary's argument? Like, Gary's argument's garbage.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll give you that. But even at least he's honest enough to, like, he even leaves the empty tomb out of his minimal facts.
Well, he does now. He didn't always.
Now he does, but like, I mean, he was able to change that position. You got to give him some credit for that. I think the rest of it's crap, and his Christology stuff that he's into now is just bananas. But like, who's got the drop on him? Like, where's this fucking unicorn? That's got to, like,
that was you see how this tweet has 62 replies and 14 likes?
Yeah.
Most of the 62 replies were people asking that exact question, and he never answered. Not that I saw.
Right.
So
this is just like him admitting that those, like, the top apologists in their respective fields, because Craig is the top apologist when it comes to the Kalam. Like, there is nobody more accomplished in publishing academic papers on the Kalam on their side than Craig.
What I find funny about this is that, like, he criticizes Craig's formulation of the Kalam. I did briefly glance at Callum Miller's, he actually has a published paper in a religious theology paper or whatever. I actually did briefly glance at his formulation of Craig's argument. He doesn't actually reformulate it. He just applies Bayesian statistics to it and says it's most probable that God exists rather than not exist. So, like, he takes the same argument and then just says, okay, it points to probability.
This has me more worked up than the you can't rape your wife shit, because this is stupid. This is like to say that atheists and atheist YouTubers in particular, the deal with, like, that's so insulting to Habermas and Craig too. Like,
but he doesn't bring anything better.
I just really want to know who has a better resurrection argument. Like, Kalam has so many iterations, whatever, right?
Yeah, and Callum Miller's saying, like, it's the same as Craig's. It's just he takes a slightly different approach to the probabilities of each premise individually.
So he takes Craig's formulation, he takes Craig's formulation of the argument, like his syllogism, and just does some Bayesian statistics based on inference.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't strengthen anything, especially.
Well, I mean,
it's based on inductive.
I'm going to caveat this. There is a good chance that I am misrepresenting Callum's work, because, like, I'm not a statistician and I'm not a philosopher, and there was a lot of jargon in that paper that I was not really familiar with. That is what I got out of it. I could be wrong. I am open to the idea that I am wrong. If somebody can explain that to me in layman's terms, then I would appreciate that, like, if I am actually wrong. But that is what I got out of it.
But he's also saying that there's a lot in this, because he's saying that Gary Habermas's arguments for the resurrection are low-hanging fruit, and William Lane Craig's formulation of the Kalam is low-hanging fruit. So, like,
but everybody says those are the best.
Right. So, I'll put the Kalam aside, because the Kalam certainly doesn't get you to the fucking Christian God. Right? Like, at best, it'll get you to some sort of deistic God. Like, I don't know what kind of Bayesian gymnastics somebody would have to do to get you from the Kalam to the fucking resurrection. But I don't think it's possible. But to be a Christian, You have to believe in the resurrection. And he's saying Gary Habermas's arguments are shit.
So who's got the good ones? Like,
why does he
what,
even
Lee
believe
Strobel?
in that if he
Does
thinks Gary
Lee
Habermas's
Strobel have a good one?
arguments are shit? I'm like fired up. I shouldn't have had the rum. I'm fucking fired up.
You know what?
It makes no sense to me.
Shannon,
John, explain it to me. I know, John. Explain it to me.
Shannon, I'm gonna let you carry the stream for a second while I go get myself more scotch.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll pop up the chat and we can all shit talk you. It doesn't make any sense to me though, because you're saying Gary Habermas. This is one beef I have with many atheists. Gary Habermas minimal facts. So Gary Habermas's arguments are garbage. But I'm still a Christian because I believe in the resurrection, but I can't point to anybody that isn't Gary Habermas that has a stronger argument. Does anybody in the chat know? I'm going to look at the chat. They must be hiding robust ones. The Kalam doesn't get you to even God. No, it doesn't. The Kalam gets you to a cause, is the way that I read the Kalam. Like, so the Kalam is just a bunch of nothing to me.
Wait. Are you telling me you didn't take the opportunity to shit talk me while I was gone? You just kept on going about the Kalam?
No, I was just acting publicly confused about why this is.
I'm so disappointed in you, Shannon. I set you up earlier for a lazy "that's what she said" joke, and you didn't take the bait.
I already told you need to fix your teeth so that I can take you more seriously. Smile more. Smile more. Like, honest to goodness. If you put a little bit more effort in, maybe more people would tune into your shit.
Well, fair point. Paul puts more effort in than I do, and more people tune into his channel than they do mine. So that tracks.
No, I meant your appearance in general.
Oh, my appearance.
I don't think he does.
Yes, he does. There's no way he doesn't put more effort into his videos than I do.
No, I said appearance, like your physical appearance.
Yeah, no, I put zero effort into that.
Okay, maybe he does, because he puts like 0.5% effort.
Hey, you're lucky I've showered today. Like,
he's naturally handsome. He doesn't need to make any effort.
I was supposed to have I had an appointment with my hairdresser and barber this week, and when they called to confirm the appointment, I canceled it because last time I was there, he kind of came out to me as like being like anti-vax, anti-mask, anti-everything. I'm like, okay, I need to find myself a new barber. And it's like one of those situations where it's like he's like cleaning up the lines around my face, and like he's got a straight razor right here on my neck, and like, do I disagree with him about the vaccine right now? Like, no, he's not. Like, yeah, no, he's not Sweeney Todd, but like still, he's got a sharp object on my neck.
Like hands and face are all around your face for an extended period of time.
Yeah, so it's like, I'm gonna find myself someone new, and like I can take care of the beard myself. Like, that was a nice little feature thing or whatever, but like I can do it myself. I don't need to pay someone for that.
There's got to be some more around town.
It's hard to find a good, like they all just like do the generic cuts, and like I'm thinking of trying to do something different with my hair. Maybe I'll copy Cameron, since I'm copying people. He's got good hair.
Oh my God, please do that. Please do it.
I don't know. His hair looks like it takes like effort.
I know. It's like he puts more effort. There's no way I'd ever spend that much time on my hair.
Like,
brush, we're done.
Oh, that's more than I've like for years. I've just done like
much hair though.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. Like for years, I've done like just a number one shave, everything, because then like just like a little tiny bit of shampoo, and I'm done.
Oh wow, yeah, I go through a lot of shampoo.
Anyway, so Paul says, Paul's posting in the chat, he says, in the last 24 hours, McLatchy has posted to Twitter that none of the AXP hosts are worth talking to publicly.
People almost never mean me when they say that, though. They just mean Matt, I think. I don't know. Maybe he does mean me. Maybe I'm not worth talking to publicly. Jonathan, if you're watching, explain to me why I'm not worth talking to publicly. It's probably because I'm such a bigoted feminist. That's probably why.
I'm looking for the tweet right now. We have
In what context? Was it just a general proclamation that he was making? Like, Fuck Shannon, fuck Jim, fuck Apostate Prophet, fuck Matt, fuck Dave Warnock, fuck all of them. Does he even know who all the AXP hosts are?
Probably not.
That's funny to me.
Are you...
So there's 5.
Doubting your Christian faith? Don't do it alone. At talkaboutdoubts.com, nearly 50 scholars and experts are ready and willing to help you discover the evidence for Christianity and address your concerns.
Is that a phone line?
No, it's submit a form at the link below. Yeah, I guess it is a phone line. Schedule a free appointment. I kind of.
Oh my God! I
kind of want to. I kind of want to do that. I want to do that now.
Can we call right now?
Oh, so he retweeted Eric Manning saying the minimal facts approach can never come down to it depends on the context and who you're talking to because it's always too weak to justify the arguments for the resurrection. So he's like on a rampage against Habermas. But like these are all older tweets. But I'm not seeing the atheist experience one. Was it maybe tweets and replies? Maybe it was a reply to someone.
Maybe it got buried. Jonathan.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to hunt through his tweets.
For shame.
While I'm live on the air.
I was supposed to host a debate a long time ago that he was going to have with Paul, I think.
Okay, this one's fun.
I guess that's not worth happening because I'll be there. So I guess that's canceled, Jonathan. No more debate with Paul. Canceled. I'm not worth talking to. You're going to have to do that to organize that debate you wanted.
Hashtag canceled. I'm moving on to the next one. It's God, Ohio.
Oh. Okay, I'm going to find it. This
is a fun one for reasons that you don't know yet.
That I don't know. It will all be revealed. Okay.
Well, I mean, you might have seen it this was another Take That Darwin retweet.
Mm-hmm.
He says, you do know that Darwin rejected his own theory of evolution when he couldn't adequately explain the eye, among other things. So you believe in a theory rejected by the theorist who came up with it. So that still doesn't answer where the universe came from. So much wrong there. Evolution has nothing to do with where the universe came from. Darwin never rejected the theory of evolution. That's a myth, the whole deathbed conversion thing. And his not being able to explain the eye, that was his like little rhetorical thing at the beginning of his chapter explaining the evolution of the eye, where he was like throwing a bone to his detractors being like, I can understand how reasonable a position it is to hold that you can't picture how an eye could possibly evolve. So let me explain to you how the eye evolved. But they always leave off the last part.
I'm sure you're aware of this because I prattle on about it so much and we talk offline all the time. I know Paul is, but the argument from the complexity of the human eye to God, like against evolution, is my least favorite argument of all time because I studied ocular anatomy and neuroscience.
I'm sorry, Shannon.
Our eyes are objectively shit.
Shannon, I'm going to have to prove you wrong right here. Can we debate the definition of the word atheism? That's
no, you are right. That is my least favorite argument. Period. Like that's not my least
specifically
favorite
argument for God.
Okay. That's my least favorite discussion anybody's ever had, ever in the history of time.
Oh, it's such a useless debate. It's like, okay, then call me an agnostic if you think the definition doesn't fit. Who fucking cares?
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like I feel like philosophically and colloquially I fall into atheism.
Okay, let's not even go there. That it doesn't fucking matter.
I thought you wanted to talk about it because it's
no, I don't.
That we all figure out which.
I want to. So I'm gonna go to. I responded to this tweet.
Mm-hmm.
So I said I just basic stuff. You're clearly getting your information at least secondhand as filtered through creationists. The only time he expressed any doubt about the evolution of the eye was as a rhetorical device at the beginning of his chapter that explained the evolution of the eye. And I got one reply to that tweet. You want to know what that reply was?
Well,
this is the best. It's not from the guy.
Okay.
It's so much fun. This is a pure Twitter thing. Wind turbines rarely function. End of story. Total waste of money. Just from someone who wasn't even involved in the conversation at all. Like, what?
That almost killed me. I have a cold. How many different mental connections have to happen in your head? Was he thinking that, like, if you're an atheist, maybe you believe in science stuff, and he thinks that all science is false, and wind turbines are. I don't know.
I think probably what happened there was this came on a day when I was posting about renewable energy at some point.
So he just found you somewhere else.
No, this wasn't the original, the Mo God Ohio guy. This was someone else.
Another guy who found you somewhere else to respond to something he wanted you to see.
Yeah. This is Jeff Jagster.
Twitter is fucked, man.
Twitter is so much fun. Like, what the fuck? And this actually sparked a conversation that, like, went on for quite a while with, like, people arguing about stuff. Like, I had to mute this conversation because it just, like, that has nothing to do with what I was talking about. I don't feel like getting into this debate right now. Goodbye.
I mute my own tweets frequently. Like, sometimes I'll tweet shit and I'm just like, I'm just going to preemptively mute this because this is going to fly off the rails.
I do that with any of this transgender in sports things because, like, I support transgender women in sports because, from what I understand, women support transgender women in sports, generally speaking. And
We're not allowed to talk, though.
I don't know the details about it because I don't care about sports. And generally, like, I don't want my apathy towards sports to come out as apathy towards the people involved in sports. So I'll just, like, retweet something that someone else has said, and then I mute it because I don't want to see that conversation. Like,
yeah. That's one of the things that frustrates me is that you always see, I am a woman who also does sports. And I've run leagues and I play lots of sports. I've coached sports. I've been an officiant in sports. I have a lifelong history with sports. And any league that I've run, and I still run a league, it's a co-ed league, but it's gender affirming. So you play with the set of gender rules affiliated with what your gender is. Period. Full stop. No questions. And it's never caused an issue, really, at all.
Well, I mean, it's really quite telling that these people are, like, they're always complaining about the like, oh, the transgender women are going to take over women's sports. It's like, okay, there's been like 3 of them that have won anything important so far.
In order to make that leap, though, they first have to make there's a bunch of set of underlying assumptions with that. One is that men are just going to transition so they can win, and they feel like they can win against women. So they're just going to make a choice, a life-altering choice to go on hormones and potentially get surgeries and live their life as a woman just so that they can get a medal at sports ball, which seems on its face fucking insane.
Watch my last stream with Katie Montgomery, and where she goes into detail, but like she picked a tweet from someone that was like talking about all the different misogyny that women face, and how, like, and then she went into detail how, like, yeah, trans women face the exact same things, and in some situations it's even worse than for non-trans women, than for cis women. And it's like, yeah, so these people are submitting themselves to that voluntarily just for the ability to win a sport. Like, yeah, no, that's not realistic whatsoever.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me. It's trivially stupid.
So someone asked what the normal 15% thing is in my screenshots. I have an add-on or extension on Chrome called Bot Sentinel that it's supposed to tell you who's a bot and who's real. But generally it's not very good at determining who's a bot. However, the behavior that it uses to determine who's a bot generally is pretty accurate at determining who's just on Twitter to be a troll versus who is interested in actual conversations or whatever. And so the higher the rating, the more likely they are to be a bot in Bot Sentinel's opinion. But in my opinion, they're not necessarily a bot. Like, they could be a real person, but they exhibit trolly behavior. So it's kind of a, like, if I see someone with a really, really high Bot Sentinel rating replying to me with something incendiary, then I will be more likely to ignore that person because they probably are doing that just for the reaction.
That makes sense. We went over this last time, so I'm in the know now.
Yeah, someone asked pretty much every time. So last tweet, we've got Sam Sorbo. If you send your kids to public school where they are indoctrinated with Darwinism, how can you condemn what's going on in Ukraine? Russia's attack is simply survival of the fittest.
They take so many hard laughs, man. So many fucking hard laughs. Oh, man. If you'd like ice cream, how can you believe we landed on the moon? Those two things are related somehow in my fucking head. Survival of the... And also, they so frequently understand what survival of the fittest even almost means. They think it means, you know, like everybody gets into the gladiator arena to figure out which species gets to fucking go on.
Yeah, no, that's not. That's not
what it
works.
means. It means who's the best adapted for their existing environment is most likely to procreate and carry on their genes. That's literally all that means.
It's like, no,
probably didn't die.
Well, I mean,
environmental factors, so you got to fucking have a baby.
If we're looking at just, I might be wrong on the statistics here, but my understanding is that Russia is losing more people, like just numerically, than Ukraine is. So from a survival of the fittest standpoint, Ukraine seems to be more fit than Russia.
Yeah, but they're getting it's
I mean, Russia's got a lot more resources that they can just pound them with.
Yeah, and people that they're just pulling out of like these like remote towns that have no idea what they're doing, that are getting conscripted to go in and fight a war they don't understand.
Paul just sent me a super chat to ask you to move your mic closer.
Oh, he also sent me a text message. I did. I moved it closer. Is it better?
He also apparently sent the tweet that he was talking about in a DM.
Oh, to me? Or to both of us?
Yeah. John McClatchy says, I do engage with thoughtful and intelligent skeptics often. I just don't consider the hosts of the ACA shows to have shown themselves worthy of public engagement.
Well, fuck me then, I guess. Is that recent? It is.
Yeah, that was 11:46 a.m. today. No, 18th of March.
No, it was the 18th of March.
Yeah.
So that's
Paul,
recent.
you said it was the last 24 hours. That's not 24 hours, you lying bastard.
Oh, it's in the context of somebody saying, "Hey, why don't you call the show and talk about this?" That's what.
Okay.
So so Kenneth, who hosts Talk Heathen, who's super fun. I really like Kenneth. Is saying, "Hey, like call in to Talk Heathen." He wasn't even inviting him to call the Atheist Experience. So he's just blanketing all ACA shows. So Kenneth is saying, "Hey, call me and have a conversation about this," and John's saying, "Nuh-uh, you're not worthy of a conversation with me, even though we're currently having a conversation." So that doesn't even make any sense because they have this long Twitter string.
Yeah.
And it was Kenneth's tweet. Jonathan was responding to Kenneth's tweet.
So it's like he's responding to an ACA host saying ACA hosts aren't worth talking to.
So Kenneth did a tweet. Somebody tagged Jonathan. Jonathan responded to the tweet. Jonathan and Kenneth have a conversation. Kenneth says, "Hey, bro, maybe just call the ACA while I host Talk Heathen and we can continue this conversation." And after injecting himself into a conversation because someone tagged him, he says, "You're actually not worthy of having a conversation with, even though we're in the middle of having a fucking conversation." That is balls out awesome.
John McClatchy's
there's your
fun.
whole ass. And they continue for like several more minutes.
Okay, so
all right,
that was the last one, but I want to do one more because I found this one like today and I didn't screenshot it or whatever.
One. I can't see this one. It's not in my little package.
Well,
my little pre-show package.
Yeah, so Frank Turek.
Oh, fuck, I can never see them because I'm
So Frank Turek said, "Is there really good and evil, or are we just moist robots dancing to the music of our DNA? If there is no objective morality, then there is no right to anything, whether it is abortion or the right to life." To which I responded, "Is there really hot or cold? Or do Yetis survive by eating massive amounts of spaghetti?"
That makes as much sense.
Yeah. That's a complete non sequitur. It just doesn't follow at all.
And also, like, Christians don't, they just proclaim that they own morals. They just proclaim that, they just assert it. They have nothing to found it on except for saying, well, God exists and we have the type of God that also apparently develops moral systems that we all need to adhere to. But they don't do anything substantive to demonstrate a connection. And even if they could demonstrate a connection, which I don't think they can, obviously, or I wouldn't be an atheist, you're still left with the euthypro, right? Like, is it moral? Because so it would still be subjective, because it's either moral because God says it's moral, which means that it's subject to his whims, or it's moral irrespective of God, and he's just articulating, which means that a system of morals exists outside of God and is separate from him. So it's either subjective or not from God, no matter what way you look at it. So,
well, and even if it comes from God, that's just subjective with God as the subject.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, there's no way out of it. It's what I was kind of saying, I thought, but yeah, I'm not articulating things well because apparently I finished the Florida Canna because I was so floored by the hammer. Isn't it amazing that we had this stream on feminism and shit when we talked about how you can't rape your wives and stuff? And the tweet that got me the most worked up was the tweet where the Christian was like, Gary Habermas is stupid. He has the worst resurrection arguments I've ever seen.
Okay, so before we wrap up, I'm just going to go through the super chats. We got barely any super chats this time. Just one from IOPNC1. Says, Paul is being naughty.
Probably, I hope so.
We got an earlier one than that. Oh, God, why isn't it showing up here? Was it a... Let's go to Stream Elements. Maybe it was Stream Elements. Might have been donating through the thingamajiggy. Yes, Nunya Business said, and yet my cat rolling around on my keyboard wrote something that makes more sense than a literal interpretation of Genesis. Yeah. And that was apparently sent through a super chat, but it's not showing up in my dashboard on the channel. So YouTube, fuck you.
YouTube constantly improving things for creators.
Well,
all the time, all day, every day.
Yeah.
Creator experience is constantly just a joy.
Anyway, thank you so much for joining me, Shannon. It's been a pleasure, but it's about time to end it. Sir, anything you want to say before we go?
Help elevate the discourse?
I'm sorry, I couldn't resist.
I'll take it. It's the most appropriate sound effect anybody's ever played while I'm on stream. So,
well, I mean, there's also this sad elder bug guy.
Oh, let's play that again. Oh, do you like how I leaned into the microphone even though I have earbuds in to try to hear them? So I'm a genius.
Well, I mean, I could be cheesy and use the stingers that came pre-built with this thing, like a. And then I like my Hollow Knight sound, so this is a bug called Cloth.
I like that one.
I like that one too. That one's fun.
I like that one the most, I think.
But yeah, overuse of the sound pad gets annoying for people, so I'm not going to do it.
You're like a morning radio DJ.
Yeah, I know. No, I couldn't do that.
Honk siren. 101 point rhino. Coming at you with the best Christian apologetics.
Well, Shannon, you've done great today, so you get a round of applause. And that one just keeps going until I stop it. Like, it just
we
loops.
didn't even talk about my penis today. I'm very
right, yeah. No, I talked more about your penis with Katie than I did with you.
I don't know one ever talks to me about my penis. It's kind of sad. Everyone talks about it.
Okay. Well,
time to go.
Bye. It's over now. End credits. Where's that button? There it is.